Hey guys, this is Nerd National, and we're bringing you our review for Solo: A Star Wars Story. Okay guys, so we just saw Solo: A Star Wars Story, and though it's getting some mixed reviews online, to say the least, I think we loved it a bunch. I thought it was great, and we'll do a rundown of what we like, didn't like, and things we didn't have problems with.
That people online seem to have a lot of problems with for no reason.
Don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. Most of the people, we went through them today, most of the people have not read, good goodness.
The audience score on the movie is about like a 50%, but then we went through their audience reviews.
50% haven't watched it.
Yeah, none of them watched the movie. They're just like, I hate Kathleen Kennedy, social justice warriors, stupid, I refuse to watch this movie, but I'm going to give it a half star.
It's so weird. So, I'm Nolan.
I'm John.
And this is our review of Solo: A Star Wars Story. Okay, so to start off our video, we're going to do stuff we really liked. And there was a lot of stuff to like in this movie. And though some of it was fan service, I don't care about fan service because I'm a fan.
Nostalgia's pretty good.
Yeah, nostalgia's great. So people had problems with stuff that I honestly loved. I think the movie was just a fun romp that explained who Han is when we first meet him.
I mean, this shows a lot of character development for Han. You see where Han is at the beginning of A New Hope, and you see how he got there, in this movie.
Yeah, which I don't have a problem with. Did we need the movie? No. Did I like the movie? Yeah. So I think the first thing to start off with, personally, what made it for me was Chewie. It felt like a Star Wars movie with Chewbacca in it. He was Chewie, he's a constant.
He's back to the old, rip your arms off Chewie, not just, the cuddly, big guy.
He wasn't just standing in a corner.
He's the loyal friend who goes and, rips the guy's arms off.
He's eating people! People looked over at he was eating people when we first meet him!
He's in a pit getting fed deserters, so...
Yeah, so I think it was cool that he's such a cool character, he's, all fur...
But he's not some,
He's not a pushover. Yeah. He is a warrior, and he was, even in
he's 200 years
he's a
old.
warrior. Yeah. He was always a warrior.
Yeah.
So they added that, and he just ripped some guy's arms off.
I still like that line. Seriously, that's the only suit that would have fit me.
Yeah. I think, guys, before we go too far into it, this is a spoiler review. If you haven't seen Star Wars Story, if you haven't seen Solo, A Star Wars Story, you should definitely watch it. Highly recommended. Don't believe things you see online. I recommend go watching it and determine it for yourself.
Stories about how it's doing bad at the box office, that's just because of those stupid people on Rotten Tomatoes giving it a 60 or whatever.
Yeah.
It should be doing way better.
Oh, most definitely. Considering there are much worse superhero movies that do way better, it should be doing much better. But
just got too much negative press.
Yeah,
undeserved negative
people
press.
People were like, I quit Star Wars. It's feel free, don't write a review about it. But I think what made it for me as Chewie was awesome. I loved Chewie. He was the quintessential Chewbacca. He was always going, in the original trilogy, he's always going oh, and waving his arms above his head. So when he kept doing that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is Chewbacca. We're back. This is, we've hit, we're going to the original trilogy. I felt like I was right before the original trilogy. I loved it. I thought that was great.
One of the highlights, though, is the relationship we see between Han and Chewbacca, how that develops. Starting with them being they have to work together because they're chained together. Moving on to by the end they are working to Chewie could have left with his family, but he stays because he sees Han is a good person. He
saves Lando. I thought an interesting topic that you brought up. I felt like they were trying to go for something when he goes is he saying tribe or family? I'm not sure. I was like, he's going to meet his... And for you guys, I don't know who's caught up on Star Wars Legends, which is the extended universe before Disney got it. But in Star Wars Legends, and they've confirmed this for canon, Chewbacca has a family that is, we presume, in slavery. And then Han frees them, and that's where Chewie, after he frees Chewbacca. Chewbacca feels like... he owes Han it's a life debt, Wookiee life debt, and that's why he hangs around with them originally, and then obviously they become best friends, and That's why he sticks around. But I have a feeling like there's going to be some deleted scene or something where we see that like that was his wife and that was his actual family, because that was way too, like they said, family or tribe.
So like the scene in question, what happens is they go to the spice mines. This a pretty big, it's a spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
They go to the spice mines of Kessel, and
which is referenced,
and they find Wookiees enslaved there. And if you look in the original trilogy, they mention that Chewbacca's family was enslaved in the spice mines of Kessel, and then you see him go and free a group of Wookiees, and he's about to take off with them when we see Lando about to get shot out in the middle of like a war zone. Because he went out to try and save L337.
Yeah.
A kind of hotly debated character, which we liked her.
I liked her.
She was fun. But so he's out there because L337 got, like, destroyed. Shot a bunch of times.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. She got wrecked.
But, and Lando went out to save her. He gets shot, so Han chases after Lando to try and save him. And Chewbacca, like, his family's walking, well, his probably...
Tribe for now,
Yeah, his tribe, his people are walking away, about to leave on their own, and he sees Han run out to save Lando, and like he has a moment, he like goes like
hugs the
he like hugs like his family or whatever they are, and then he picks up Lando and he helps Han bring him back onto the ship, and he leaves with them.
But yeah, so I thought I liked that a bunch. I liked the Chewie Han relationship. They really brought that, and let's be honest, that's the only thing you wanted from this. Like, going into this movie, I was like, they have to get Chewie and Han right.
Yeah, like, they started, like, the right way. They started just, like, getting thrown together and only working together because they had to. And then, like, they start working with Beckett and his crew just because, like, it's convenient for them.
They have to. They have to get on the
like,
ship.
They're sort of, like, they got there at the same time. So they're, like, sort of isolated from the rest as, like, a group of two.
The new guys.
Yeah.
They're the greenies. I thought...
The Wookiee.
Yeah, the Wookiee. You've never slept better than in a Wookiee's lap. It's like... What? How do you know this? How do you know this valuable piece of information? My Star Wars canon universe has been expanded so much. I thought so move on to my second favorite part of this movie was Donald Glover's Lando.
Lando was great.
Donald Glover was the Billy D. Williams of Lando. He was the Lando I wanted. He was the Lando I remember. He was both his best friend
and his worst
enemy.
Like, they had that same old, like, love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
In the fifth movie, in The Empire Strikes Back, when they see each other for the first time, he's like, you have nerve coming here, and then, like, he's about to square up, and then it's a hug.
And that's what I love. They brought that full circle.
And he's like, sometimes he's like, I kind of like you, kid, and other times he's like, I never want to see you again. Just stay away from me.
That was the best part. They got Lando right. It was like everything I wanted to see in the beginning of Lando. Do I want to see how he grew up? Not really, no.
But do you want to see how him and Han met?
I did, yeah. The Lando Chronicles.
Yes. Oh,
I want to see a book, a comic book, and maybe even a movie of the Lando Chronicles called The Lando Chronicles.
No, but also, in a throwback to The Empire Strikes Back, when he first sees Han introduces himself and he's like, Han, why don't you have a seat? He's like, it's Han. He's like, all right, Han.
I was like, Billy D. Williams, this is so... Because I was like, so... There was that whole, of course... if you go on the Twitter sphere or the internet, there was always debates over, is it Han or Han? And even actually before this movie came out, I forget, it might have been a YouTube channel that, I think it might have been Star Wars Explained, which is worth a checking out, guys. Shout out to Star Wars Explained. That guy's an awesome YouTube channel, explains canon and legend stuff. But there was a video of, I'm pretty sure it was him, where they actually explained whether it was pronounced Han or Han. And I loved, when they tied that back, I was like, Ron Howard, you got this, buddy.
That's one of those nostalgia fan service things that we liked right there.
I loved it. That was amazing. I thought how he kept the Falcon was so Lando. Yeah. People had on Rotten Tomatoes when we were looking at this today. Some guy, I'm sorry if you didn't like this, Mr. Rotten Tomatoes guy. Some guy said his biggest problem was Lando's cape room. Yeah, I don't know why that was your biggest problem with the movie.
In the Millennium Falcon, Lando has it's very posh and it's fancy.
It's looking. A player. It's like a player ship.
Totally unlike when Han has it. Like, it's all beat up and
junk. It's the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy.
But then Lando has this whole closet full of capes, and then there's one scene in there, and then like Rotten Tomatoes guy. The one reason I didn't like this movie was because of the closet full of capes. It's like
I was like, what do you mean?
That's
That's
so
so Lando. He's obsessed with himself and his own image, and therefore,
I mean, bring back that scene. The ship's on fire. He's holding the dead L-337. And Emilia Clarke's character, Kira, takes one of his capes to start beating out the fire. She's like, "What are you doing? That is a custom cape."
I was like, this is so Lando. Like, in the end, he cares more about his image than literally anything else. That's so, like, Lando before we meet him in Empire. I think, now this is huge spoiler territory, guys. Huge spoiler territory.
If you follow our Twitter, it's not as much of a spoiler.
Sorry about that.
I said spoiler alert.
It's a spoiler alert, but it's one of my favorite parts in the movie is clearly Darth Maul.
Coming in at the end, like, and they it true to like what he was in like Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars.
They're
the Clone
connecting
Wars,
the comics,
like
the TV shows.
You know that like everyone, you pretty much know that TV shows they're canon, they're
Yeah,
recognized,
but they're not
like you never thought
yeah.
you never thought they would actually tie them into the movies.
Not even close. I actually,
Like-
beforehand, I even thought, like, there's no way, because I was hoping some of the Clone Wars characters, and we have a lot of good Clone Wars characters related to smugglers. They have that whole pirate planet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're never going to have a Clone Wars character. They brought back Darth freaking Maul! They had him with, like, the robot legs. I was
A
like...
lot of people like won't understand if you
Yeah.
haven't seen the cartoons. You'll be like, "What? He died back in episode 1." If you've just watched the
Yeah.
movies,
I don't recommend watching episode 1, but...
yeah.
I do and I don't. For the only reason I do is for Darth Maul. But I
Seeing
think...
him cut in half.
Yeah, but I
Spoiler.
thought that was... I loved that. I loved... And people were like, oh, you know, the only reason he got his lightsaber was so that this was like... You know, there's the whole thing, like, every Star Wars movie has a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I don't care! He had his double-bladed lightsaber, and I noticed... people... Yeah, people were pointing this out. I can't confirm nor deny this, but people said that wasn't... Obviously, it wasn't the lightsaber he had in...
All right. So before we talk about, if you have not watched Star Wars Rebels, the Emperor has like a group called the Inquisitors, who are like semi-trained in the Force, not like up to the standards of the Jedi.
Yeah.
They're mostly focused on fighting with lightsabers. They have these cool, like almost like Maul-like red lightsabers.
Yeah, they're based on the Maul. They're the double-bladed...
And so that appears to be the lightsaber Maul is using at the end of the movie.
I forget if it was the Darth Maul comic or a book, but in one of the things, he hunts down and massacres an Inquisitor, or a couple of them. So I thought that was interesting, because they're going whole hog. Like, they're saying, Marvel Comics version of Star Wars, that's in it. Clone Wars, yeah. Even Rebels, which some people like, some people don't like, that's...
Which again, don't totally trust Rotten Tomatoes, because they gave Star Wars Rebels a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, we like Rebels.
The show's fine, but like a consistent 100% is
100% on, what, like 4 seasons now?
Yeah, that's not...
I don't know. I don't even know if Clone Wars is 100%. Now I want to look
But then they could tie Ben Kenobi back into like this movie, because
I think this is what they're going to do.
If you watch Rebels, Kenobi and Darth Maul eventually meet again, and they don't kill each other because they're like...
Yeah, I think
it's
Maul
been, like-
dies, though. I forget if Kenobi kills Maul, or...
Do they kill each other? Because like Maul doesn't want revenge anymore, does he? Like they just sort of just like.
Well, he
talk
wants
about it.
her. There's this whole, like, plot with Ezra.
It's
and
like,
this
and then Kenobi's like, it's been decades. We've been through so much suffering and war, and like, aren't you just done with it now? Like he's a tired old guy
yeah, they both...
living in retirement on Tatooine. Maul's sort of just like running his like shadow organization thing, just like
The Crimson Dawn.
Yes.
Which,
Oh,
I
yes.
thought... This was so funny. So, the whole movie, when he was like... it was like, oh, I answer the higher power, the Crimson Dawn. And I was like, it's got to be Jabba the Hutt. Because then he's going to drop the hyperfluid, and then Jabba's going to be like, oh, Misa da Bode Mabuki. You know, like, you have to,
I mean, they still tie Jabba in. Just
They
not that
tied
way,
Jabba in, but I was convinced it was him as the big, shadowy figure. And I was like, that's cool, but intimidating, Jabba is not. So, but then it was like, there's that pan shot where you see the robot legs, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's Darth freaking Maul! And then it occurred to me, Crimson Dawn. Crimson Dawn is literally red sun rising. And if you guys have read the comics and watched the TV shows, which is...
Clone Wars.
Yeah, Clone Wars, it gets a little into it. But Darth Maul is known as the son of Dathomir, or the red son of Dathomir. The red son of Dathomir,
Red Sun,
who
Crimson
rises
Dawn. There you go.
the Crimson Dawn. It was like, I bet the writer was sitting there going, "Heh."
And then they bring in Dathomir because that's where Maul tells Kira to go.
Yeah, that was. I think they're going expanded universe, baby. They're taking it all.
But it's also the question of what's going to happen to Kira when she gets there. Because Maul, he's a Force user. He's been alive for a long time. He can use the Force, and well enough to tell if someone's lying to him.
Yeah,
but then the question is, will he really care? As long as Kira's still loyal to him, he doesn't care if she killed Dryden because Dryden was kind of a jerk to her.
Yeah, and Dryden had lost Maul a lot of money, if you think about it.
Dryden was in debt to Maul. He kind of failed as leader of the Red Dawn, and he got replaced. She didn't betray him, she just killed off Dryden.
And then
which he might have done anyway.
Yeah, he probably would have.
She had the opportunity to leave with Han, and she went back to Maul.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, when you think about it, so that's sort of like the relationship piece, like, between them.
Yeah.
Like, I would say Han so desperately in love with Kira. But then Kira, she likes Han, but really, she's in love with herself.
Yeah, I think
when it comes down to it, she, like, chose to, like, keep Han a secret. She chose, alright, I won't tell Maul about Han, but I think I have a better opportunity going with Maul than with Han, so I'm gonna take a better opportunity for myself.
Yeah. I think I don't know if they're gonna do a Maul duology, trilogy, some sort of illogy.
Well, I mean, there's so many like spin-off movies coming up. They could just slide him into like a Kenobi movie or a Boba Fett movie.
I would not mind because the Boba Fett movie is all but confirmed, and the Kenobi movie. I mean, if they don't make that, they're gonna get like stoned. So they're gonna make that.
It's like everyone's saying it's gonna happen. It just hasn't officially been.
Yeah, even Ian McGregor was like, "I'm making it. I don't really care what happens." Yeah.
Is it Ian or like it's spelled? It's like Ewan. I don't know.
Oh, it's Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan. Sorry,
Ewan McGregor.
But like,
I'm thinking of the Fantastic Four guy. You know,
Fantastic Four.
You know the guy who has like the name that no one can pronounce. Regardless. So, but I think I wouldn't mind if Maul was kind of the connecting piece between Solo, Boba Fett, and Kenobi. Would it be the best decision? I don't know. I wouldn't mind a Maul movie. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a Maul trilogy. If you're just trilogy is like Darth Maul doing Darth Maul stuff with no legs, I'd be like,
metal legs. Put your lightsaber at school.
It'd be. Would it be the best? Do we need again? That's the whole question with the Solo. Did we need Solo? No. Did I like it? Yes. Do I want a Maul trilogy? Yes. Do we need a Maul trilogy?
No.
Not at all.
Like, we already have plenty, but we want it.
Yeah, we want it. It's Star Wars addiction. But I think so. Then other things that we really liked. I liked the new Millennium Falcon. The look was clean. It was fresh. It was Lando. It was that white and blue.
And then they helped sort of explain like why it looked different.
Why it looks like a piece of junk.
They show us Han's flying style, where he uses it as like that one scene. He's making the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, you know. Yeah,
if you round down.
But he uses it as like a ping pong paddle
Literally.
to knock a TIE fighter into an asteroid. Like he like spins it around, hits a TIE fighter in an asteroid. And then it's like, he used it as like a weapon, as a battering ram. No wonder it gets so
He's so unorthodox, which is a total factor, the fact that it is. I mean, when we see New Hope, there's like a hole in the main saucer section.
And he's just like, oh, the hyperdrive doesn't work, this doesn't work.
It's falling apart, but it's fast, so I don't care. So, but that, I like...
He's not Lando. Lando's all about look. He's all about, like, whatever.
Speed. He's an adrenaline junkie. Glorified.
I mean, like, my theory would be, even if he got away with the like millions of credits worth of coaxium at the end of the movie, he would have like still been like the same smuggler anyway.
Yeah, he would have no matter.
He wouldn't have needed to, but he would have wanted to.
He probably would have just bought the Falcon off Lando in that case. Yeah. Though I don't think Lando would have parted with it. But I liked the Millennium Falcon. I didn't mind people said some problems beforehand, not really afterhand.
I felt like they kind of like tried to over-explain it too much. Like
every change that happened from this movie
like
to the trilogy.
They made sure to emphasize specific like things that happened to the Falcon when he was flying it to like show like why things are different.
Like the different radar dish got knocked off.
We don't really need to know. You show us that Han gets it damaged a lot, and we'll see like, oh, well, that's why it's all beat up in the movie.
Yeah,
we don't need to see every specific like radar dish that's cracked off or gun that gets knocked off or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that was more because they were worried fans would get super frustrated. But in the end, I didn't care. It was awesome. I liked a couple of things I liked. Oh, something I loved that made me smile So the scene where he's realized that he can't get out of the situation, he goes to join the Empire, and you hear this propaganda poster going, "Explore new worlds." No, first thing I thought of was, oh my goodness, it's the intro of Star Trek. They're like, "Explore new worlds, seek out new life and new civilizations, boldly go." But then in the back, I think it's a major key, it's much more happy, you hear dun dun diddly dun diddly dun dun, and it was the Imperial March, and I was like, that's so tongue-in-cheek in a Star Wars movie,
but like a happy Imperial
it's so March. Funny, it's happy. I think in an episode of Star Wars Rebels, they had it as like they were like, this is our new official theme song, the Empire, and they had it, but so again, it's like referencing Rebels, the fact that that's the propaganda poster. I thought it was a cool nod to both the original trilogy, the TV shows, and just fans in general.
No, but also, when we're on that, like, when him going to recruitment, some people online had a problem with the guy giving him the name Solo. Like, he goes up, and he's like, my name's Han. He's like, what's your tribe, your people? And he's like, I don't have a people. Yeah. And people are acting like, oh, well, the Empire gave him that name. It's one administrator guy who has kind of a twisted sense of humor.
He's filling out paperwork. Like, it's a glorified DMV.
He's trying to have a little fun with his day. He's like, you're alone? I'll call you Han Solo.
No, it's not like the Emperor was like, I hereby bestow you as Han Solo. It's like, no, it's this like guy.
It's one guy. It's not the Empire.
The Empire didn't give it a name. And even if you can...
ironic, because it becomes a name that the Empire, like, it's a thorn in their side until he joins their, like, rebellion. And then it becomes a name that they fear. Then the name becomes a legend after he helps destroy
even to the point where Finn knows it in the First Order. They know he's a warrior.
Everyone goes in the First Order, and Finn's like, wait, you're Han Solo? There are, like, legends about you and stuff like that.
It was both, if you see it as the Empire gave it to him, it's funny. Yeah. If you see it as some guy filling out paperwork at the Imperial equivalent of the DMV gave him a fake name, it's just neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. I think another
it's his name, and it might have been given to him, but he made it his.
Yeah, he made it his. He is Solo. A Star Wars story. Yes, Solo. And Oliver Twist's story. It was the intro was the same as Oliver Twist. Like, more food, please.
Yeah, you gotta steal for your cat. There's some, like, overlord on the other.
A big glorified caterpillar.
Yeah. That can't go out in the sunlight.
That was funny. I love that. This is a thermal detonator. You're just making a clicking sound in your mouth.
That's just a rock.
Yeah. That was like... I felt like this movie was
so Solo to just like bluff like that.
Yeah, it was such. He had no idea what he was doing. He literally had a rock in his pocket and was like,
he pulls out the rock. He's like, "There's a thermal detonator." Click, and he's like, "No, that's just a rock." You made a clicking sound with your mouth. He's like, "Crap!"
So and then he throws it out the window. I was like, "This is so Solo."
He makes up a plan as he goes. He somehow gets out of there. It's like,
I think all in all, the movie was very. It was a good blend. People talked about the cinematography. The cinematography was amazing. It was that awesome mix of Western and sci-fi fantasy that made the samurai movies with like the wipes and everything. Yeah. That was the kind of mix that made the original trilogy so good. Like George Lucas did that.
Like when they're in the cantina and stuff, like all the backlighting and silhouettes.
Exactly. And it's
I also
very
like the cinematography, like with the Star Destroyer. The cinematography was that just like
great.
The outline of the Star Destroyer in the tunnel with like the lightning behind it, and
it was
like
so good. I thought the cinematography was that great blend that made me think this is an original Star Wars movie. It's gritty, it's kind of dirty. Like in the New Hope, everything's covered in sand and rust and dirt, and that was this movie. It's kind of
they're in a dive bar in Mos Eisley.
Exactly.
Like it's
and
not
this one, they're in like a dive bar. And they're in, when they go to Lando.
They're playing poker and like dive bars.
Yeah, they're playing, it's like, sabacc. They're, dealing with sabacc cards. And it's so Star Wars. They don't they don't explain sabacc. They don't explain what's going on. They just name drop.
They don't need to, like, Last Jedi, they kind of took it too far with explaining, like, everything.
They explained a lot of stuff.
Back in, like, the fourth movie, it was like, there's this, there's that. You don't need to know what it is.
Like,
I don't need to explain
drops. He's like, the Kessel Run. And you're like,
I read the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. No one's like, what's a parsec? What's the Kessel Run? Like,
yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson had a problem with parsec. Sorry, Neil deGrasse Tyson. They made this movie for you to explain a parsec.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's like, a parsec is a unit of measurement, not a unit of time or something like
that. And then they literally made a whole 2-hour and 15-minute movie just to explain it to him. So I thought I liked that feel, that gritty Western feel. I thought that was the perfect thing for Solo. I thought that was on target.
Going along with that gritty feel, though, was like Tobias Beckett. He was kind of like a gritty character.
He was a good, gritty... He was a tentative father figure for Solo?
Yeah, kind of. Like, when he got accepted in the crew, he was like, I like you, kid, I'll bring you along with me. Solo, Han never... I mean, Han even talked about Lando with it. He never got along with his dad. He didn't really like his dad. No. And then he's like, he starts to see Beckett taking him under his wing, giving him, like, his blaster.
Yeah.
Which was a little unnecessary.
A little unnecessary, but I don't really care.
I know, but, like, alright, so, little tangent here. One alternate ending I have for that blaster. So, if you've seen the movie, Beckett, like, disassembles a gun, puts it together, like, kisses it, and tosses it to Han. That becomes the iconic blaster. See, but this other idea I had, which would have been pretty sick.
I think this would have been great.
If it's Beckett's blaster, and when Han shoots Beckett at the end of the movie...
Han shot first!
Yeah, Han shot first. That's important.
We'll get to that in a second.
But Han takes Beckett's blaster that symbolizes, like, all Beckett was to him, all Beckett taught him, which was A, to shoot first, and B, to trust nobody.
Yeah, which is where we see him in The New Hope.
Yeah,
he shoots first
in New Hope, he shoots Greedo first. That's what happens. And he only trusts Chewbacca. He trusts no one else. He doesn't want to join the Republic. He doesn't trust them. Or the Rebellion.
Yeah.
And that's all because of the lessons Beckett taught him. And, like, he could have taken that blaster, like, symbolize it, and, like, that would have been sick.
That would have been cool.
It was still a fine way to give it to him.
Yeah,
Like, give him the iconic gun. But, like, I just think it could have been better. But Beckett, like, an iconic Woody Harrelson role. Right?
Yeah, and Woody Harrelson in the...
Like, the cynical, like, sort of, like, older guy.
I think he gets typecast of no fault of his own. It's just because he's so good at it.
But he's good at playing those characters.
I think... So, just a quick... What we didn't like. I didn't like the fact that there's a certain time limit to these movies.
Yeah, like, you know how it has to end.
And you know that the new characters have to either abandon them, die, or never...
Just, like, mysteriously, like, fade into the background.
So, I think that's the one problem. And this... that happened with Rogue One, obviously.
Yeah,
spoiler alert.
They all die.
This one, Beckett, Val, Rio, Kira disappears.
That's kind of a problem I had.
That's my next problem.
Alright, so, that's the next problem we have. Val and Rio. Val, who was...
criminally underused.
They last, like, 10 minutes in the movie.
Awesome.
Rio was so much fun.
Rio was so much fun with the arms.
But at one point, Rio is like this little four-arm guy.
This would have been so
But also, on the job they're doing, Rio says that he wants to take the money and use it to open a cantina somewhere
hot.
But not too hot. But not too hot. A.K.A. Tatooine.
Well, that's pretty hot. It's pretty... Tatooine's hot and sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
sand. It's
coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
No, but like, what that could have led to was... him opening the Mos Eisley Cantina that we see Han Solo in the fourth episode.
Like, that would have been both horribly cliche and so funny. I would have just loved to see, like, Rio being like, yeah, guys, I'm going to open on Tatooine. It's so cheap. And then go back and then open it. I would have loved to see that. It would have been so campy.
That explains why Han's in that specific bar in Mos Eisley.
Yeah, and why 6th round. I think, so yeah, underdeveloped characters was a main part in that.
Val, she was a great character, and you killed her so quickly.
They could have had her, honestly, Val was a good balance.
I get that you didn't want to have, like, too many love stories, because, like, Val and Tobias Beckett were a thing, but, like, you could have, like, made them, like, you could have just, like, kept them in there, but, like, not emphasize, they already said they loved each other, that's great.
You could have beat it over the head.
You could have left it there, and used them as characters, you didn't just need to kill off the love interest that quick.
Yeah. I think... that was, and on the chain of underdeveloped characters, Enfys Nest, I liked a lot. I thought that's actually she's a character, and her whole biker gang, the Cloud Riders, is a character from a 1980 something comic book that was like written probably by some guy.
Ron Howard going like deep.
Yeah, Ron Howard went deep into Star Wars Legends. Like, that's like a comic book, and they were like a biker gang from like a bar, and that was a weird thing to get.
They get their bikes there.
But I thought I liked her. Right, I liked her gang, but when they like
they have like
taking off the helmet,
taking off her mask, like epic music, and
it's gonna be Val who faked her death. It's gonna be Val's kid when I saw her take the mask off.
It's gonna be like Beckett's daughter.
It's gonna be something like that.
It's gonna be someone important that we would know.
It wasn't.
It was like.
They were trying to
maybe they were trying to make it seem like, oh, you're surprised it was a girl.
It's like, we're not. It's fine that she's a girl. We don't really care. She looks awesome.
One thing that I would have loved though, if it was like Poe's mom or something like that,
yes.
that would have been like.
We were talking about this earlier. If that was like, I'm Dameron, it would have been like, oh my goodness.
She was like, I'm Shara Dameron, and you're like,
oh my goodness,
that's Poe's mom.
That would have been so cool.
Because in Poe in The Force Awakens, they say both his parents were involved in the rebellion.
Yeah.
So that would have worked.
That would have worked, and
because
it was
Enfys Nest is like the beginnings of the rebellion.
It was
right
the
there.
spark that lights the rebellion.
The spark that lights the fire that burns down the First Order.
Yeah. Well, not yet.
Well, yeah.
You're preemptive there. Preemptive strikes. Okay. But I think other things, stuffs I liked or didn't have a problem with that other people had a problem with. L337. I personally liked her.
One thing I liked about L337 though was she got uploaded into the Millennium Falcon.
I love that.
Because then, like,
it adds
in the New Hope and stuff, like, Han refers to the ship as, like, a she. And, like, it's a personality. It's not just a hunk of metal.
Empire, C-3PO is trying to fix the hyperdrive, and he's like, I don't know where your ship learned to speak, but da-da-da. It was like, weirdest dialogue.
It emphasizes that sense of personality in the Falcon.
It's the Falcon is, and it always has been, even before we knew that it had a personality. Yeah. There was always, like a nostalgia, like, oh, it's the, the old girl. But I thought that was great. I loved L337. I thought she was both comedic humor. She also brought light to the fact that there's been
so much slavery.
There's been so much slavery in Star Wars. It's not even funny.
Every movie, droids are just enslaved to people.
And they have a restraining bolts even in the first one. I thought.
And then the New Hope,
there was
R2D2 and C3PO captured, enslaved, sold.
And then when they run away, they have to get them back. It's like of course, it's like like slavery for children.
One line I really like in the movie: L3 is in the co-pilot chair. Lando's going to get something or do something. He's going to check on something in the back of the ship, and he's like, "L3, you need anything?" And she's just like, "Equal rights." And he's just like, and he walks away, and she's like.
I thought that was funny, it was cool, and you can make analogies to obviously, a bunch of rights movements that's going on nowadays, but I didn't have a problem with that. I thought they didn't. Like, people of course, on the internet, because it's the internet, people will make connections, and based on, whatever the heck, they'll explode, and some people hated the character, and was like, that's an affront to Star Wars.
And some people are like, you're going way too much SJW, and they were more like, Kathleen Kennedy, we hate you.
Yeah, we hate you, and I was like, that was a fun character, who was, first of all, comedy gold. Like, that was a fun, just straight up funny, not subtly funny. She gave personality to this Falcon, as we talked about earlier. She was trying to bring droid rights. I love the droid rebellion when you just hear gonk, gonk.
And then you see all the sticks walking over.
The little gonk droids are smashing up the computers and yelling freedom. I was like, that's so funny. And it's timely and everything else. And it was good. It was just overall great thing. And they needed a little space to fill, but I didn't care. I loved it.
It was fun.
It was a good fight scene. It was funny. It made me laugh. And it was awesome battle.
And then that led to the development of it sparked the whole fight on Kessel, which led to Chewbacca choosing Han.
And the Kessel Run, how he had to fly in so many because of Imperial blockade.
And then they explained that parsecs means that the Kessel Run is a tunnel through this big maelstrom of
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, it's a distance through a tunnel of big asteroid field and stuff like that. It's cloudy asteroids. They call it the maelstrom, and he cuts through he takes a shortcut. It's this circular tunnel with these clouds you can't see through with random, and you see lightning in it.
And instead he just flies into the wall.
He just flies through the wall, and it's just he cuts the distance in half.
Yeah, exactly.
So that makes sense why it's a unit of distance.
Parsec.
Time. Yeah.
But so other stuff that I didn't mind that people had a problem with people on the internet have a problem with practically everything. People had a problem with fan service and nostalgia factor.
But you love it. Come on.
If you tell me that you don't love seeing Chewbacca get in the co-pilot seat with the awesome... I liked this better than Rogue One, music-wise. Because Rogue One, they didn't use any of the original music because they were so scared to die back. This one, Chewbacca gets in the seat at the end, and they're full on, this is Star Wars theme, guys. This is the song you hear when you first see Chewie and Han take off. It was nostalgia. I loved it. It was amazing. He gives that smirk. It was this is Star Wars gold.
And then they bring up actually Chewbacca's age,
which is great.
They meant in Star Wars comics and stuff like that. They mention how Wookiees can live for hundreds of years, but they don't really address that too much in the movies. And then he's talking to Han, and Han's 190 years old.
Yeah.
Hop in. Like,
yeah, he's like, what? You look great. I was like, I love that.
They're trying to figure out how to work the ship, and Chewbacca's just like, he
Morons.
just starts flipping buttons like, you idiots. And he's like, how'd you know to do that? And
he's like, I teamed up with Yoda.
and then he's
you
like,
don't know
and
nothing.
then he starts like doing his barking thing. He's like, 190 years old. You look great. And then Chewbacca sits in, and then for the first time, they
get
press
that
the hyperdrive
awesome
together.
They punch it. I loved it. I thought,
And
if
it
you have a
works.
problem with fan service, yeah, they can go overboard on some stuff.
Sure,
but
it's good.
It was this movie.
There's worse
good
stuff
balance.
to go overboard on.
And this movie was a good balance. Like the one thing, Han shoots first.
Yes.
That's a huge thing. You know, the special.
That
editions.
surprised me though. That scene. So like, I
He
thought
shoots
that
first.
Beckett was maybe gonna like wound him, and then he was gonna kill
Yeah.
Beckett or something like that. Because but there's the lesson. Han shoots first. Like,
And I liked it because
they
it
didn't
was
smash
subtle.
over the head with it.
He shot first, and if you know the whole special edition thing, you're going, he shot first. That's amazing. You know what? Or if you're an internet hater, you're going, eh. But then like Woody Harrelson or Tobias Beckett doesn't go like,
Nice job, you
nice
shot
first,
first,
kid. You shot first. Because if he had done that, I would have been like, and you killed it. Like no.
ham-fisted like reference. Like
Exactly.
that.
But
But
they
instead,
didn't.
he's like, you learned the most important lesson. Or
Which
something like
the
that.
most important lesson is shoot first, but they never hit
And
you in the
don't
face
trust
with it.
people.
Yeah, don't trust people. Which I thought that was the whole like kind of theme of Beckett. In all,
I mean, Beckett proves that by betraying Han. He's
Yeah.
like, I told you not to trust people, kid.
and then he's like, I didn't, which I loved
Yeah.
because I didn't actually expect
He also
it to
said
be.
people are predictable.
Yeah, that I loved. I didn't expect it to actually be the hyperfluid.
Yeah.
So when it was. I was like, it's a coaxium. Like, it's the real thing. I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like, I think Han knew that Dryden knew that he was being betrayed.
Well, he figured that someone was going to betray him, whether it was Beckett or Kira.
I think
like
he thought it was Kira.
I think he knew Chewbacca wasn't going to betray him because
He's Chewy.
Chewbacca is the exception to the rule. He says trust no one, but there's one person he trusts with
Who's never let him down.
unconditionally.
It's Chewbacca.
Because by the end of that movie, he trusts two people. He trusts Chewbacca and he trusts Kira. And then Kira betrays him, runs off with Darth Maul. So that drives in really the lesson that Beckett was trying to teach him, don't trust anyone. Which leads him to trust only Chewbacca, because he's the only person in his life who has never let him
betrayed
down.
him. Yeah, literally the only person, the Empire.
Chewbacca
betrayed him.
came back for him. He goes with him everywhere.
He abandoned, well, not abandoned, but he let go of his
he
tribe.
chose to let his family go off without him in order to stay with Han. Like,
I thought, all in all, that was like, and on our last point, Dryden Voss, great villain. Gangster. He was like the god, and I think Paul Bettany might have said this, but he was the godfather of Star Wars.
1 second he's like, guys, I'm about to
Yeah,
die. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss.
And then he
the
does
next
that
thing is
like leg cross with the hands, and he's like, but I'm going to have to kill you. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy is great. Like, he was so godfather. It was like, he runs a crime organization. You do something wrong for me, I gotta kill you. Yeah. It's not like I want to kill you, I gotta kill you.
He's like the typical, like, old, like, almost like polite, but like badass.
It was like Italian mobster from the movies. That the old, like,
also like his weapon choice, like
was awesome.
Brass knuckles with blades on the end.
That was so cool. Sick. It reminded me, and I know there's this whole thing where they officially aren't, but it reminded me of the Praetorian Guard, the red guys in Last Jedi. It reminded me they had the like light up things reminded me of it. I thought it was a cool. Didn't do it. So last thing, I keep saying that. This movie's awesome.
This is the last.
So this is the real last thing was. Couple Easter eggs to look for if you go see it again, or you stupidly watched our whole spoiler review without seeing the movie, so watch it for the first time. Cool things, Dryden Voss's office was a Sith holocron, Darth Maul tie-in, which I didn't realize until Darth Maul.
You realize it after you see the
it makes
movie,
sense
like,
that he would have something from the Sith because he worked with the Sith.
It's like the whole Red Dawn or Crimson Dawn thing. Dawn. You get like the whole Red Sun reference.
Second thing was totally big. There's this crystal skull from
it's the gold idol, isn't it?
The different thing. We'll get to that one in a second. But there's a crystal skull there was this old in the 80s. They came out with a prequel comic for Han Solo, and in it, young Han Solo, the original like smuggling mission was to steal this crystal skull. Thankfully, not the Indiana Jones crystal skull because that movie was really horrible. But in the office. There is that crystal skull, which, again, Ron Howard really went deep into his references. And then, in the theme of Indiana Jones, in Dryden Voss's office is the golden god idol from the first Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, the whole run away from the rock.
Run away from the boulder. didn't realize, and then I saw a review, and it was like, I love the Easter egg of the thing. And I was like, I can't believe I missed that! You gotta be kidding me! And then now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it like 100 times.
Now we're gonna have to go back and watch Indiana Jones all over again.
Yeah, Indiana Jones. I'll watch all the Star Wars.
Then we gotta watch all the Star Wars over again to make sure we get all the references.
Just for completely research purposes.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
just
of course. I'd like a week off, please. For what?
Research.
Family matters. So, all in all, I'd give this movie probably an A- if I was doing it on a grade scale.
If you were doing it out of 10, that's what, like a 9? 9.2?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9.2. Hard to pin down. I'll probably, when we go see it again.
We'll watch it again, and then that'll, like a lot of it's the shock factor, like, that can influence your
both
opinion.
good and
like,
bad.
If it's a good or bad movie, like, you can think it's good or you can think it's bad, and then you go back and see it again, and then you're like, oh, that movie's actually bad, that movie's actually better than I thought. Like,
I think honestly, I think watching this again with more of the eye to the references,
knowing like all the references,
I think I might like it more. Yeah. Honestly, which
but
is saying something.
There are like certain movies where you go back and like you're like, oh, that actually isn't a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think this will be one of them, but like in order to really know if it's a good movie or not, you need to watch it multiple times. All right.
So that's our review of Solo: A Star Wars Story. I highly recommend watching it in theaters. Contributing to the absolute massive pot of money that is Disney and Lucasfilm.
So that they can do another Solo.
Yeah, so they can do
as great as this one.
Boba Fett. I can't wait for the Boba Fett movie. I'm hoping we get a Maul trilogy, maybe a Han. I'm hoping we get a Kenobi movie. I'm hoping we get movies for Kenolis. I'm hoping we get a Kenobi movie. And all in all, I'd say watch this. It has the Nerd National stamp of approval. Thanks, guys, for watching. Keep up to date. We're going to be doing a speculation video for Avengers 4 next, which would be interesting. Obviously, we haven't done videos in a while. We're just getting back into it, and we thought Star Wars is the best way to do so. So
we could have a Deadpool 2.
We might have a Deadpool 2. We might even have some special Deadpool 2 references and Easter egg stuff. So come back and watch us, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And check out our website at nerdnational.weebly.com. Thanks, guys, for watching, and stay nerdy.
Come to Nerd National. We will be working much more closely together.